Hey, hi, champs of EXAMSnet. This side, your educator Uttam Tiwari, your all-time expert of this subject. From now, we are starting the lecture series for the chemistry course. I'll be guiding you throughout your course in a very detailed manner. If any student have doubt related to any lecture or any concept, any numerical, he or she can join our Telegram channel. Thereby, we are conducting two-layer live doubt system at free of cost. Also, our physics, mathematics, and biology courses are ongoing. That is already pinned in the playlist section. You can see the all series, all the lectures at just free of cost itself in this YouTube channel. Also, we are providing the question series, question banks of every exam conducted in India. That also you can see in the playlist section. So, without further ado, let's master this topic with me. So when you talk about some basic concept of chemistry, let me tell you the exam analysis: 5 questions in the JEE exam, 4 questions in the MCET exam, 2 questions directly in the NEET exam. This particular chapter, uh, you cannot expect the direct questions actually, but this some basic concept of chemistry holds a lot weightage when talking about physical chemistry, inorganic and organic. Every chapter, this chapter would be very linked, right? So indirect question in the advanced paper of JEE are highly predicted. So let's talk about chemistry. When somebody talk you about that, chemistry deals with what? Chemistry deals with composition, structure, properties of the matter, right? So there was a scientist, Roald Hoffman. What he stated in the definition, there is a very first line and the blue line of NCERT written clearly. I my words. You have to follow blindly NCERT. NCERT is the Bible for your every exam, right? When you talk about chemistry, I'm not very confident in the physics, but yes, chemistry is the Bible for all the exam. So you just have to follow chemistry course with me, and this all notes are pinned in the description box as well as in Telegram channel. And this full notes are even designed basically from NCERT. No other reference book has been taken. NCERT and only NCERT. So yes, chemistry, there is a scientist, Roald Hoffman. What he stated about chemistry, he stated that chemistry is the science of molecule and their transformation. It is the science not so much of the 100 elements, but of the infinite variety of the molecules that may be built for them. So Roald said that chemistry is just not about the 100 elements when you are placed in the periodic table. It's also about the molecules that help to build them, right? You know about H and let's take an example of hydrogen and oxygen. This hydrogen and oxygen are gases, H2 and O2 gases. They make H2O, even water also. They make H2O2 also. And this H2O and H2O2 and H2 and itself O2. This all four compounds have different physical standards and chemical properties. So this chapter will tell you about every element, every compound, and every molecule which you're gonna study higher. So Roll said that it is not about 100 elements, but also about the infinite variety of molecules that helps to build them. So that's what Rold gave his definition on the chemistry, and that was very precise. So chemistry, let's read the second point, that chemistry deals with the composition, structures, and properties of matter. I have already told you, right? So the basic constituents of matters are what? Atoms and molecules, right? There is atom and there is a molecule. So chemistry deals with atoms and molecules. Matter is divided into two parts. So is it possible to count the number of atoms and molecules? Yes, it is possible. Is there any relationship between them? Yes, there is a relationship between them. This whole question would be answered itself in the lectures. Now, what was the need of importance of chemistry? Like we were just very good at like counting atoms, counting molecules, having a very precise definitions on both the things. But what was the need of chemistry? Chemistry, your deals with your weather patterns, your even functioning of brain. If you are a biologist student, You might have studied this. There is a neuron process. There is one sodium release, one potassium. There is something. I'm a mathematical guy, but yeah, I know like there is a help in the functioning of brain as well as in the chemistry. When you talk about your stomach, all reactions are performed with the help of chemistry. Operations of computer have also importance in the chemistry section. Fertilizer and drugs again helps in the chemistry. Soaps and detergent process helps in the chemistry. So it's not wrong to say that chemistry contributes a big way to the national economy, right? So chemistry helps in day-to-day life in every aspect. So again, now there's a one drug, right? I have made this important because this is PYQ of even JE, even your NEET, even your MCET paper. Okay, so cisplatin is a drug and Taxol. It is used in the cancer therapy, right? So drug, if somebody asks you which drug is used when you talk about in the importance of chemistry, there is a cisplatin, a structure cis form and trans form. I'll be teaching you this particularly in coordination compound. Cisplatin and Taxol are two drugs used in the cancer therapy. And when you talk about effectively on acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, that is AIDS, right? So AGT, azithromycin, right? Azithromycin is a drug again, like as a medicine, AGT. It is used in the therapy of AIDS victim, the one who is suffering from AIDS. So we give them AZT, that is azithromycin. So like this drugs and aids, these are all extracted from animal and plant sources. So it is, and we use for them as a synthetic methods, right? So that's what written in the next line. These are extracted from animal and plant sources and used for the synthetic methods. So in this slide, you can read very first page of the NCERT. This full paragraph is covered. Actually, first and second page. There's a section importance of chemistry. Just have to remember cisplatin here, right? Cisplatin is important. AZT is important, azithromycin, and their work like cisplatin is used in the cancer therapy and AZT is used in the AIDS, right? Now this matter, what is matter? Matter is something which has a mass, right, and occupies some space. Right. So something which has a mass and occupies some space is called matter. So this is divided into subdivided into three parts: solid, liquid, and gases. Hmm? Let's talk individually. That solid, a solid has a definite shape. This you have studied in your class 9th, right? Solid, liquid, gas. There is a chart in the NCERT of class 8, 9. You can see, refer those books. But this is very easy and would not be asked in the exam. Just you have to gain some knowledge of this particular table. So a solid has a definite shape. The molecules are tightly packed in the solid because there is a strong intermolecular force of attraction. Yes. And the molecules vibrate in a fixed position. When you talk about liquid, liquid does not have any definite shape. That's what written. It can occupy, like you pour some water in the glass, right? So it will occupy, if you take any utensil, it will occupy that particular shape, right? It takes the shape of the container in which it is placed in, right? And the next point is the molecules are farther apart than comparison to solids. So solids are tightly bonded. Then you talk about water. The molecules move and slide over each other. Then let's talk about gases. Gases have no definite shape. It takes the shape of the container. It is spread out, fills the container. You talk about balloon. If you make a small balloon, it will occupy that particular gas. If you talk about the large balloon, right? The balls. So all those things you can refer from day-to-day life. The molecules are very, very far apart. So solid has a high intermolecular force of attraction, then liquid, then gas. This is something very basic. So you already know, right? Solid can be converted into the liquid, and liquid can be converted into the gas. You take the example of ice. If you melt that, that would come into water, and if you heat that, that would be transferred into evaporation. So solid to liquid would be solid to liquid, and then liquid to gas is the process for the same, right? Now the point, again important, the chart of class 9th and even also given in the NCERT. This chart holds a lot of weightage, right? Because this chart would hold your basics, make your basics more stronger. So matter, does it have a properties and composition? I've already told you about the matter that is subdivided into three parts: solid, liquid, and gases, right? So if it holds the properties and composition, constant properties and composition, that is known as pure substances, and which do not have uniform composition, that are known as mixture, right? So if you talk about mixture, is it uniform throughout? If it is not uniform, that is classified into heterogeneous, and if it is uniform, that is qualified in the homogeneous. And if you talk about pure substances, that is classified into elements and the compounds. So when you talk about heterogeneous, you might have studied in your lower classes, heterogeneous mixtures are non-uniform in natures. Colloids are the best example, right? The one who has a non-uniform composition, that is particularly known as heterogeneous. Homogeneous, sugar solution is a very fine example for this particular homogeneous compounds. So homogeneous, the one who has a uniform composition throughout. Hmm? Salt solution, right? You mix you pour some water in your container, and then you add a 1 tablespoon salt or either 1 tablespoon of sugar. You will see there would be a complete dissolution of the salt and sugar into the water, right? So there is a uniform composition. You cannot define that which composition has been placed into the water. Now when you talk about elements, contains only one kind of particle, that can be atoms or molecules, right? Elements, you already know, that is placed in the periodic table, right? That could be elements, or that could be atoms or the molecules. Atom, the single unit; molecule, the one combined with one or more atoms. When you talk about compounds, contains more than one type of particle, but in the fixed ratio. You take hydrogen and oxygen ratio, that would be always into 1:8, right? You take water example, there is H2O, right? H2O, H2O, like 2 into 16, that would be 2 ones are 2 and 2 8 is 16. That is always coming in 1:8. So contains more than one type of particle, but in the fixed ratio. If it is elements, this element again subdivided into three parts: metals, non-metals, and metalloids. This you will be starting itself in the metallurgy chapters: metals, non-metals, metallurgy, even in the periodic classifications. Fixed ratio. And then you talk about compounds, they are divided into organic compounds and inorganic compounds. From this we will start our organic chemistry and inorganic chemistry hierarchy. So the start is, I hope, clear to you, and this is even given in the NCERT. Very basic lecture, very easy lecture. This you will not get also, like from where we have started into which question we will reach. Okay, so stay tuned with us. When you talk about derived quantities, again, this is in the physics. I have taught you, like if the students who are studying physics also, they can see in the playlist, the very first lecture I have taught you about the derived unit, something which is very common in chemistry and physics. The other physical quantities such as speed, volume, density can be derived from the above given base units. There are 7 base units, right? So that 7 base units that I've already told you in the itself in the physics course, you can refer there. The very first lecture are called derived units, and their units are derived from the fundamental units. Density is mass by volume. So density is not a base unit, but mass is a base unit, volume is a base unit, right? So this comes under the 7 base units. So when you talk about mass is written in kg, volume of a cube is length into breadth into height. So that could be written into the meter cube, right? Length, that's the unit for the, length as meter. So meter cube would be the volume of the cube. So that could be written as kg per meter cube or kg meter cube inverse, right? So 7 base units. Now, when you talk about 7 base units, you can see there is some derived quantities. This particular derived quantities, I have just made a chart. That is plane angle. Again, I've taught you in there itself in physics course. Solid angle also taught. Stereo. These are physics things. What you have to remember for chemistry is frequency. That's name of the unit is hertz. Hz is the symbol of the unit, and you can derive, right, the frequency. You can derive force also. You can derive energy also. Electrical charge, electrical resistance, inductance. Celsius is used as degree Celsius. So this all will be starting one by one itself in the upcoming chapters. You don't have to directly cram this chart. No, whenever there is a question coming, then and there we'll be discussing this particular things. Otherwise, that would be very hard to recall those things back. Now, when you talk about some other physical quantities, what are some other physical quantities? Why were we already started derived quantities? Now, what was the need of other physical quantities? The other physical quantities, there was a need for mass, there was a need for weight, there was a need for the volume, and highly I'll be teaching you this, not in this slide, but in the next lecture I'll be even teaching you the temperature. There was a need of lot of these kind of things, so that's why we are starting. What is mass? Everybody knows from 9th and 10th grade that mass amount of matter present in any substance, right? So how you calculate, I'll be teaching in physics. That balance in electrical balance, analytical balance in electrical balance system is used to measure the mass. Everybody knows that 1 kg is equals to 1000 gram. Weight, what is weight? Weight is something, weight is equals to mg, right? The force exerted by the gravity on an object. So it just varies from place to place, right? It would vary when you go beyond that, and it will vary when you are at the surface of Earth, because gravity changes at every point. So weight is equals to mg. Right now your weight would be at respect to the surface of Earth. Okay, so weight is equals to mg. Now when you talk about volume, the space occupied by matter using by liquid or gas. So I already told you liquid and gases have very much space into that. So liquid and gases occupied space. So that particular occupation of the matter is of by the liquid and gases is called volume. Hmm? The volume is the space occupied by matter using by liquid or gases called volume. You have to remember important. Otherwise, you'll be doing my all questions wrong in the molarity, molality, normality when I'll be giving you DPPs of all those things. Because units are very much important to chemistry. Volume is liter cube. It could be written as meter cube. 1 liter is equals to 1000 ml, right? 1000 milliliter, and that could be written as 1000 centimeter cube. Makes sense, right? And that is equals to 1 decameter cube. This directly would be given. That means 1 liter directly is given to you. It is given in 1 decameter cube. You don't have to convert it. That means same sense. 1 meter cube is 100 centimeter cube, can be written as 10 to the power 6 centimeter cube, can be written as, because 1 decameter cube, so you can write this as 10 to the power 3 decameter cube, and that makes 10 to the power 3 liter. Same sense, because I have already told you 1 decameter cube equals to 1 liter. So these all questions would be asked, and we have, this was a very basic lecture, very short lecture, because this is the introductory. But in the next course, we'll be studying actually about accuracy, precision, significant figures, and also about all the laws, right? All the laws in the chemical compositions. So now the chapter would basically start from the next lecture. This was a very basic lecture, but again, I have told you 2-3 important points. Let us recall before ending this lecture. Rawls gave you basically the definition. Matter is subdivided into two parts, that is atoms and molecules. What was the importance of chemistry? Weather patterns, functioning of brain, operation of computer, fertilizers and drugs, soap and detergents. You might even say these kind of things are very boring. But when it will be asked in the J, because JEE and NEET and all those exams right now more focusing on what student don't know than what student know, right? So these are some points which student often tends to forget. So these are very important. Drugs, I have told you, important, like cisplatin and Taxol. These two drugs are used in the cancer therapy. AIDS is AZT, again used in the azithromycin, that is used in the AIDS victim. So smoke, ozone depletion, acid rain, these are all challenges which are we are even facing due to chemistry, right? So there is a boon and the curse for everything. So boon are, this is helping us a lot, and you know about acid rain, you know about smoke. There is a smoke, there is ozone depletion. Humans are still finding the solutions. When you talk about matter, this table isn't important that much, yeah. But fifth point is very important. What is heterogeneous uniform composition? Examples are colloids and alloys. And homogeneous uniform composition and heterogeneous non-uniform. Elements that contains only one kind of particle can be atoms or molecules. That means metal, non-metal, metalloids. Compounds have more than one type of particle. I've already told you that that is H2O. Elements that could be in when you talk about molecules, that could be hydrogen, right? Oxygen. These are combined with two atoms, right? Oxygen, oxygen, right? So when you particularly talk about this, that is considered into element. And compounds are two types, that is organic and inorganic compounds. I told you about derived quantities. What were derived quantities? That are derived from other 7 base units that we already have studied in physics in the very first lecture. And density is important, you just have to remember the unit, right? That is kg meter cube. Let's talk about derived quantities. You can have a look into this chart, but this is not that much important. But yeah, I've just forgotten to tell you. SI unit prefixes. Yes. Mind my words, again, very, very important. 10 to the power minus 1 is deci. 10 to the power minus 2, again, centi. Milli, micro, denoted by mu. Nano n 10 to the power minus 9, pico, femto, atto, zepto, yocto. Also, I've told you itself in physics, but yes, chemistry is more use of this SI unit prefixes. These are the prefixes. You just have to convert them into standard unit, that's meter for the length. So this would be given, and you just have to know that if it is deci, right? If it is written D, so 1D. So you just know that is 10 to the power minus 1 meter, right? So centi, again 10 to the power minus 2. Milli, micro, you can easily run nano 9, right? Pico 10 to the power minus 12. Femto, again 5, fem. So 5, 10 to the power minus 15. Atto, right, 18, 8, atto 8. Zepto 21, Yocto 24. Zepto, Yocto isn't used widely. These are the positive ones. So you can deca 10 to the power minus 1 deca is used, hecto is used, kilo is used, mega 10 to the power minus 6 important, giga important, and tera important. So these are important units. This you can recall, and very important. You can learn this by downloading the PDF. Mass, told you. Weight, something, mass, how we'll be calculating by analytical balance and the electrical balance would be studying in the physics. Weight, force exerted by an object, weight equals to mg. Volume unit, 1 liter equals to 1000 ml, 1000 centimeter cube, 1 decameter cube, and that is 10 to the power 6 centimeter cube, 10 to the power 3 decameter cube, 10 to the power 3 meter. These all make same sense for the 1 liter. So 1 liter you have to remember at least a liter unit. This first one is highly important. Okay. So yes, let's just end this lecture with a very good note. Keep learning, keep scoring high. Any doubt related to any lecture, you can just join our Telegram channel. Also, you can comment in the comment section. So all the lectures are, provided in the itself in the EAMCET channel. You can join and see all the videos. And if any suggestions during the lecture, you can just always, we always welcome the suggestion. You can give in the itself in the comment box. Thank you so much.